We are recording. Awesome. What in your mind makes a good story? I feel like in our culture nowadays, with all these movies that are coming out every year, all these books being released, I feel like in our culture we have lost the art of storytelling. A good story is what inspires people to do great things. If you've watched a movie recently and it was something that really impacted you, felt that like tugging in your heart, and like inspired, like, you know what, I'm gonna go climb a mountain. Watch a documentary of someone who climbed a mountain. Gonna go climb a mountain. That was an impactful story. The story inspired you to make a difference in your life, and that is one of the key things in storytelling that makes a good story. The question I've been asking myself is, what makes a good story? What makes a story different from another story? What makes a good story different from an average or mediocre story? I watched this great documentary, 14 Peaks. Highly recommend it. This guy who climbs 14 8,000 meter mountains in the span of 7 months. Absolutely incredible documentary. But what makes that story so impactful and so inspirational compared to another story that's, let's say it's an amazing story, but it wasn't delivered in the right way, and you kind of felt like dry and like, oh, it's another wasted few hours of my life watching this movie. And so I've been diving in, reading a bunch of articles on what separates stories from other stories. And I want to share a few of those elements with you guys on, how to tell a meaningful, impactful, and inspirational, life-changing stories in your films, and how you can bring this information into your production and really create a story that's impactful and life-changing for your audience. So diving right in, the most important thing you need in your story, whether it's a documentary, short film, even a feature-length film, you need to have a character, a setting, and a theme. So in every story, you need to have a driving character. Your main character is someone your audience can identify with, and we can start experiencing the story from their point of view. Now, the setting and theme are important because we ask ourselves, where are we? What's going on? Who is here? And what is important here? And having a setting and a theme at the beginning of your story to set those things in place. What is going on? Where are we? That way, your audience can immediately connect with the character and where they are and what is happening. You have to have some sort of knowledge of what's going on in the story. Little grab, pull them into the story, tell them what's going on, and then you can go from there. Your characters need to be compelling. A strong character keeps your audience invested in the story and is someone they can identify with and latch on throughout the story, and they can see themselves in this character, whether they physically can and like they're passionate about the same thing this character is, or they find little subtle things that this character they are having in common with this character. And so having a character that is very compelling and strong really helps with getting your audience connected to the story right off the bat, because they can connect with this character, they can feel for this character, and they can understand where this character is going. The second part of telling a good story is creating conflict. Every good story has some sort of conflict that the main character is coming up against. Most commonly, conflict is shown as an internal struggle within the character that they're trying to overcome. But also there's a conflict of, external conflict, whether that's let's say it's a storm that these sailors are trying to, come up against and pushing through this external physical conflict that they're up against. Stories without conflict are usually pretty bad and very boring. When there's conflict in a story, you're watching this character go out and conquer these series of obstacles and overcome them. Without that, you're just watching, just meaningless encounters that lead to nowhere. These little things that happen. It's not really conflict. It's just like minor, bumps in the road that just going over. There needs to be a driving force of conflict. You have your main character, and you have what they're up against, and those are clashing throughout the movie, and or the film, and they are. It's 1v1. Like the character is against this conflict and this obstacle, whether it's internal external or something, or whatever it is. It's the battle, and usually at the end of the story, what makes a good story is them overcoming this conflict and winning that internal struggle, and that's like the climax of it. They have overcome, they have beaten it, and then you feel like a sense of victory with the main character that you're watching. You have connect with them. You have, developed this familiarity with the character, and you can feel his victory with him. And so when you don't have conflict in the story, it's very dead. There's not, victory involved. It's not much of like I've overcoming, the sense of just like I've beaten this. It's very, very bland, very boring, and if overall, your audience won't be engaged in your story. The third part of what makes a good story is relationships. Every good story is about relationship. What kind of relationship does the character have with the environment, with other characters, or with themselves? Our entire being is built upon relationships. Thus, these stories with good relationships really speak to us, and we have a connection with the story because we can identify with the character and the relationships they're having. A good story digs into relationships. They show how these characters' relationships are tested through the conflict, and how that conflict either, strengthens a relationship or breaks it. And ultimately, stories are like a tool for empathy. We connect with these characters through this conflict, and they help us relate with one another and see from the character's point of view. So if you're wanting your audience to stay invested in your story, make sure you expand upon the relationships of the main character so that people can identify and connect with your story as it moves forward. The fourth part in telling a good story is to show change. Stories are about change. If you hear a story that is just event after event after event, you check out. When you start to formulate a story, there is one problem you are solving. But most problems we face in life, they don't have simple solutions. So think of your problem as an onion. It's going to change and morph over time, and that change requires your character to adapt to what's around them and what's happening to them in the story. A story is a roller coaster of emotion. To keep the ride moving, you're simply changing the emotional state back and forth. Each scene of the story should have a move and a shift of emotional poles. As you're shifting these emotional poles, it's creating momentum, just like a ride would. You're diving down into the negative, you're bringing them back in the positive, and back and forth again and again. So with bringing the audience back and forth between positive and a negative creates a sense of curiosity and mystery, and that is the change the audience is waiting for, because they know it's going to come, but they're not quite sure when it's going to come and how it's going to come. That's what makes change in a story so important. And the final fifth part of what makes a good story is transformation. Stories communicate a promise of transformation. You're promising the audience they're going to take them on a journey. As they strap into the roller coaster of emotion, you're giving them the promise of the transformation that's going to happen with the character. You're promising the audience that they're going to leave the story changed just like the character did. That happens through the process of narrative transportation. Whatever happens to the character feels like it happens to us. We receive this experience of enjoying the transformation with the character, and we feel whatever they feel. So you want your audience, by the end of your film, whether it's a commercial film for a brand, short film, documentary, feature-length film, fictional storytelling, at the end of your production, you want your audience to feel like they've been changed with the character. You want to feel like, because they have watched this movie and have connected with the character in the movie and been with the character through the struggles, through the victories, you want to make the audience feel like they have also overcome the conflict with the character, because then they feel transformed, they feel impacted, and that's what's going to make your film successful, because people can identify with it. Stories are so important in our lives. We are living a story. Our life is a story. And being able to show someone on their couch in another part of the world someone else's story, it's something I love so much, because you get to connect with someone that you've never met before. Sometimes you may not have any similarities with. I don't have a lot of similarities with the Olympic swimmer. I'm not a great swimmer, but I'm fascinated by it. But I feel like if I watch a film about this Olympic swimmer who conquers, the whatever it is, like the mental thought of swimming like 5 miles, whatever it is, I couldn't do that. But I feel like I could after the film, because I connected with them on certain points and they conquered their conflict, and I feel like I could do that too. Yeah, I'm not gonna go swim 5 miles in the ocean, but it gives me some sort of victory in my mind. It's a funny thing, but creating that sense of accomplishment in your audience gives them the rush of serotonin, like, yes, this is awesome. And for a filmmaker, that makes it's a lot better, because then you create a name for yourself. People identify you with good stories, good movies, good films, and that helps you further your career. But also it's for every person to be able to tell a good story, and for someone to be impacted. It just makes you feel good, because you inspire people, you help people. And that's my personal goal, is I want to make films that have it impact people to do the right thing, to do better, to support this ministry, or support these whoever it is, support this athlete in their endeavor and goal. So I hope this inspires you guys to go out there, create stories, share stories with people around the world, to make a difference. So yeah, that is the end of this video. Thank you all if you're still watching, I want to say thank you for watching, and I'm just trying to do my best. It may have not been the most clear way of sharing that, but I'm getting better. I'm trying to do my best. But I appreciate it if you watch to the end. Really means a lot, and just trying to make a difference in the way I can. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me, and stay tuned for more videos. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell, and I'm going to try to get more of these videos out for you guys, so I can just teach you the things I have learned and where I'm coming from, where I'm going to. I want to bring everyone along as best I can and just share the knowledge I have learned. So thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.